Hello, and welcome to my Turkish apartment. Well, temporarily that is, until we find some place that's a little bit more permanent. My husband's family owns this apartment, and their tenant just moved out, so we're lucky to have a place to stay for a while. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and it's certainly large enough for what we need, but it definitely needs some work. If we were staying here permanently, there would be many cosmetic changes that I would make. But since it's short term, the most important thing is to make sure that it's clean. We've been really lucky in the last few apartments we've lived in the US because they've been brand new constructions, so we never had to worry about cleaning up anyone else's dirt and grime. They were all set to move into. It's a little bit different here in Turkey. Needless to say, I have a lot of work ahead of me. To start with in the kitchen, I first wanted to vacuum and mop. My mother-in-law let me borrow some of her cleaning supplies since we didn't bring anything with us. And I have to say I miss my cordless vacuum, but this one did a pretty decent job on the bare floors. And I'm very passionate about steam mopping, and I hope to purchase one in the future. I had a Shark steam mop before we moved, and even though I don't think Shark products are sold in Turkey, I'll try to find something that's comparable. Overall, I just find steam mops easier to use, and they really sanitize with the steam. And I like that the pads are washable, and I don't really have to worry about the pets licking their paws after walking on a floor cleaned with a bunch of chemicals. So if you're from Turkey and happen to know where I can get a good steam mop, please let me know in the comments below. Now, the quality of the construction in this particular apartment is something to be desired. I don't think any right angles actually exist, not to mention every single switch plate seems to be attached at a slant. If you happen to notice, there were no appliances in the kitchen. In Turkey, it's customary for the tenant to provide their own, and I know in some European countries, tenants even have to provide their own kitchen cupboards and countertops. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that, even if they're not my personal taste looks-wise. They were in okay condition, but just needed a good scrub down inside and out with an all-purpose cleaner. One of my favorite tools I always like to keep in my cleaning kit is a little razor blade. They come in handy so much whenever you need to scrape off any sort of dried on bits, so I made sure to grab one of these as soon as I saw it at the hardware store. Okay, so this little space down here is where the previous tenant kept their stove and oven, and it shows. I spent probably a good 45 minutes trying to wipe off caked-on pieces of food and dried grease splatter. It was disgusting, but it looks so much better after, even if it doesn't pick up on camera. As I continued to make my way around the kitchen, I mostly used an all-purpose cleaner and elbow grease to get things clean. When I get a chance, I'll buy an empty spray bottle and just make my own cleaner with some soap and water and essential oils. Oh, and I ran across this lost bobby pin. It seems like losing these little things is an international issue. I'm pretty sure that pots and pans were kept in this cupboard because it looked so beat up. It wasn't dirty per se, but the finish had gone away on the inside, so there wasn't much I could do to get it to look better besides repainting. There were some minor issues with the plumbing that my husband is going to take care of, and I'll be very grateful when he's finished because it does not smell pleasant under here. The backsplash wasn't terribly dirty, so I just used some soap and water and a sponge and scrubbed off any pieces of dried on food if there was any. I have been a fan of magic erasers for years. There seems to be no problem that they can't fix. So I made sure to bring a Costco-sized pack with me to Turkey because I don't think you can get them here easily. So I'll be rationing off little pieces of these for the next year or so until I can get some more. They actually brought up a lot of dirt when scrubbing the countertops, even if the countertops still look yellowed after washing them off. The biggest difference I was able to make was in cleaning the grout. I don't know who laid the tile here, but the grout job they did was horrible, with pieces missing in some spots and grout sticking to the tile in other places. Not to mention that the grout itself seemed to be just way more porous than I've ever seen before. So all of that added onto the fact that the grout was filthy dirty just made the floors look awful. So I tested out a few different products, but in the end, what worked best was simply applying this Jif brand multi-purpose spray and letting it soak for at least a half an hour. And then I took an old toothbrush and scrubbed around each and every tile. It took a lot of work and time, and while I won't call it perfect, it made a serious improvement to the overall look of the kitchen. Next, I went to work in the living room. The room is a nice size and it has a good view with big windows that let in a lot of light. I started by vacuuming the floors, but again, the floors in here are not in great condition. Many of the planks aren't attached to each other and just sort of shift around when you walk on them. If we were staying, I definitely want these replaced, but instead we'll just be laying a rug over the problem for the time being and pretend that it doesn't exist. We also have this little enclosed balcony right off of the kitchen and living room. It's a bit chilly to enjoy right now, but the light in here is great, and I imagine in some slightly warmer weather, it would be a wonderful place to enjoy a homemade iced latte. For cleaning the windows, I used a spray called Bingo. It looked and smelled just like Windex. And again, when I get a chance, I'll make my own glass cleaner with just water and vinegar, as I find that works best for windows. I couldn't quite reach all the way to the middle on the outside of the windows, so my brother-in-law volunteered to help me. I was a little nervous for him, so I held onto his legs the whole time so he wouldn't fall. I I cleaned the apartment over the course of a few days whenever I had the time, and on this day I saw a microfiber towel that said it was specifically for glass. Normally I wouldn't be into this sort of gimmick since I think most microfiber towels are probably the same, but this one had a little bit of a different texture to it, so I was intrigued, and it ended up working out great. I used it after the initial cleaning once the window was dry, just to give it a streak-free shine. Closets are not common at all in Turkey like they are in the US. Here, most people either buy wardrobes or have them installed. I just went ahead with this wardrobe and wiped off all of the surfaces so that there would be a clean place for us to put our items once we move them in. And by the way, I'm wearing some gloves here because my fingertips were getting so dried out with the cleaning that the skin was starting to crack. Again, after washing the windows, I just went ahead and vacuumed and mopped. This floor must have had something spill on it at one point that I think might be glue. I couldn't get it to come off, but I'll just work on that later. Honestly, the most important thing I wanted to do now was just to have a clean place for our stuff, and the details can be fixed at a later time. The third bedroom had some stuff in it that needed to be moved, and there was work going on in the bathroom, so I'll just clean those at a later time, but I just finished up here by vacuuming and mopping the hallway. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I appreciate your time greatly and would love to show you some more videos from Turkey soon. So don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to bringing you a new video. Thanks!